The information provided in this podcast is for general information purposes only and should not be considered as personal advice. Always consult with a qualified professional or expert in the relevant field for personalized advice tailored to your specific situation.
Welcome to the Wealth Guide podcast, where we explore the intricate world of financial planning and wealth management with some of the brightest minds in the industry. I'm your host, Dean Desoukey, and today we have a special guest who embodies dedication, expertise, and passion for financial advice, Dean Desoukey. Dean has been in the banking and finance industry for over 11 years, with 8 of those years devoted to the financial advice industry, where he has truly found his calling. Dean's mission is clear: to help clients prosper and grow by providing tailored personal financial advice of the highest quality. Dean is committed to helping clients and their families work towards achieving their financial goals and perhaps even realizing their dreams. He believes that understanding a client's unique experiences with financial matters, their attitudes towards investing, and how they prefer to allocate their resources is key to providing the most effective advice. His attention to the detail and ability to explain complex topics in simple terms make him an invaluable advisor to his clients. In today's episode, we'll dive into Dean Desoukey's journey in the financial advice industry and what led him to this rewarding career path. We'll explore what motivates him to continue in this field, the aspects of financial advice he is most passionate about, and why he believes this work is so important. Dean will also share insights on his target customer demographic, the specific financial challenges they face, and the strategies he uses to help his clients reach their financial goals. So get ready for an engaging and informative discussion on the Wealth Guide podcast, and let's welcome our esteemed guest, Dean Desoukey. Hi, Dean. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me today, Gianni.
Pleasure. Dean, I was hoping to kick off. Can you tell me a little bit about your experience and what led you to financial advice?
Yeah, sure. So look, it's funny enough, like a lot of people, happens with a lot of people, I actually stumbled into financial planning. I'm never going to forget this day where I was at university and at the time I was studying a Bachelor of Business and Commerce and I was doing applied finance. So I had one of my close friends, he's like to me, look, I've got this financial planning subject that I'm doing. Look, I don't have anyone doing it with me. Why don't you just come and do the subject with me? So I was like, you know what, I've got open electives. Why not? Yeah. Right. So I ended up then sitting in the class, took the class, and I just fell in love. Just the complexity around the investment side of things and all that type of stuff is something that I grew very passionate about. And then during that time as well, I was actually working in the bank. So I then tried to investigate a little bit further. I was like, okay, well, I know the banks at those days were actually doing financial planning as well. So then I used to sit down with the bankers and just get an understanding of, okay, with the financial planners in the business, how they operate, what their day-to-days look like. And yeah, and ever since I've basically been hooked. So
and look, I know that there's a common theme that I see amongst financial planners is they had exposure to the technical aspect of the study and the learning accreditation, but they also had some soft skill exposure as well through being in branch or being a teller or something along those lines as well. What was it about being in branch that you sort of found helped you most to become a financial planner?
I was dealing with people from all different shapes and sizes at the end of the day. It doesn't matter where it was. And what I found so interesting is that I was literally doing something new and dealing with someone new every single day. So you could be dealing with someone that's highly affluent or you could be just dealing with everyday mums and dads. Yeah. And what I'm really passionate about and what I really like is empowering those everyday mums and dads and helping them elevate them to the next level and seeing the value that I've added to them. So that's something that's really drawn me to it as well. So.
Yeah. Okay. So it was the variety of the clients that you were seeing and the benefit that you were able to provide. How easy is it to be able to have the conversations around, look, I'm a financial planner, this is the benefit that I can provide you? How do you sort of go about articulating that? Because everybody has their own bias against their finances as well. And, you know, if you ask people to hand over money to see a financial planner, a lot of people would balk at it. But how do you sort of articulate the benefit that a financial planner provides?
Look, the way that I see it and the way that I actually do it for myself is basically it's more of a conversation type of thing, right? Yeah. So just trying to understand things like, okay, well, look, guys, we're earning a great income at the moment now. We have these particular goals and objectives, whether it's them paying down their mortgage, whether it's actually preparing themselves for retirement, or even whilst they're in the retirement to make sure they've got enough money at retirement. Or or the other side of the spectrum as well is when things go bad, what mechanisms can we put in place to make sure that, for example, everything that we've worked hard to build for doesn't go in jeopardy. So it's just more about having a conversation. Okay, what are some of the things that you're trying to achieve? What are some of those goals? And then let's work together to get you to where you want to be. And just to live a long life, prosperous and happy life. So
is that what motivates you most about financial planning? To be able to get to that point and say, because we put this strategy in place, you've now reached your goal, or because we've put this insurance plan in place, like we've made the best of a bad situation. Is that what really motivates you around financial advice?
I look, my personality, whether it's within financial planning or not, it's I love helping people.
Yeah.
I genuinely love helping people. So the fact that I can come in, people need some help, I'm actually able to help them and guide them to get there to where they want to be is something that's rewarding. And then just seeing them along that journey, right? Seeing all that financial burden and stress lifted from them. Now they can do things like go on their holidays. Now they can potentially retire earlier and things like that. So for me, that's where the reward is. And that's what drives me every day.
Well, it's good to hear you have that pride of ownership, if anything, because if you think, I often compare myself to a trade. Like at the end of the day, what have I done? I haven't built anything. But as a financial planner, you sort of think, oh, I've helped people along the way. I've put them in a better position. So that must be really rewarding and motivating, if anything. How does the initial conversation go with the client? Because I imagine that the conversation can go one or two ways. It can be like, I want to try tomorrow, or I want to be a millionaire tomorrow. Like, how does the conversation go, you know?
Oh, look, it'll be nice to be an overnight millionaire, right? Look, unfortunately, I don't know the secret for that. If I did, mate, well, then the happy days, and I'll share that with everyone.
$1 million isn't a lot of money anymore, though.
I know, right? It's hard to get a house in Sydney for for those days at the moment now. So, no, look, at the end of the day, so it's more around understanding and just having a conversation with the client first. So just understanding a little bit about them before we're going into the numbers, before we're going into anything, and just having just that general type of conversation. And then once we've done that, built a bit of rapport with the client, then we can start unpacking and saying, okay, well, look, this is the purpose for today's meeting. And look, one of the things that I have found a lot of the time, people have either a preconception of what a financial advisor is, or at the same time, they don't really understand what we do. So my role, and I honestly feel like I'm a teacher every time I walk into a meeting, but I try and educate the clients around, okay, well, look, as a financial advisor, these are some of the services that I provide and how I can potentially help you and add value to your situation. And then we just unpack that together. So draw a little bit of a picture of what their current world looks like. And then just through the conversations, anything that we feel like there's any potential gaps and things like that, then we work together with the client to try and fill those gaps to make sure they're on their merry way to success.
Yeah, no, and I often think that the name financial planner, it doesn't suit, or financial advisor doesn't suit. You're more of a financial educator. Like you provide that education as well. And a lot of that education is where the client's financial position is and highlighting that to them because they have a personal bias. How do you sort of go about in that initial session? It's almost like a discovery of sorts.
Yeah, look, you've got, sometimes I've seen clients that walk in that are quite financially stressed and they've got a lot of pressure on themselves. But in hindsight, given the nature of what I do, and I deal with a lot of people, like I said previously. So some clients are actually in a good position already, and people are just hard on themselves. But then at the same time as well, there's always things that can be done and tweaked to be able to get them that best possible outcome. So I just work along with the clients and pretty much just show to them a couple of strategies and things that we can do to better them off, and and just keep them on their journey. So
is that typically what happens? You highlight some of the gaps, or because I'd imagine that there's a few different scenarios, like clients are either off track or they're on track, but they can get to their goals a little bit quicker. Is it really a matter of highlighting the gaps that you see in their finances? Yeah,
look, it's not only just the gaps as well, it's gaps and opportunities. So whether, for example, and I'll use as a simple example, a lot of the time people think, okay, well, and funny enough, I actually had a meeting yesterday that actually went like this as well, but one of the major assets. And every time I ask clients, okay, when we're going through their current position, what do their assets look like? Okay. 99% of the time, or I would say a good 80% of the time at least, everyone writes, they don't think about super. And then coming in the later stages, right, when they're approaching retirement, and now everyone's like, okay, well, now I have this asset here and this is going to be helping me to retire, right? So yeah, just unpacking with them. And when we look into the super side of things, a lot of the time, there's a lot of things that people are not too wary of, whether it's they may be paying too much in fees, employees, whether they don't have the best investment structure in place. And what I've done for a lot of my clients, and I've been able to see when adding some good value with, is just doing simple things like reducing the fee structures, putting a decent investment structure in place. It can talk volume at retirement. And when I do the modeling around it, I see anywhere between $70,000 uplift at retirement in their super bonds to the largest I've seen, which was around about 700, right? Which that one was quite interesting, that one. But the reason behind that was because literally it was little tweaks that were done at a very early age, and that compounds over time. So I always tell clients, look, the earlier you start, the easier it is to get there. The more we leave it off, then it becomes more and more challenging to get to where you want to be. So and that's like, and then you've got other things like superannuation beneficiary structures, where a lot of the time people are not too wary of what that all looks like. And we've noticed a lot of the time something structured in their beneficiaries called non-binding. Okay. Now, what a non-binding beneficiary is, basically it's more of a wish list, meaning that the trustee, being the super fund, even though you may have nominated the particular person to be a beneficiary, it doesn't necessarily mean they have to pay them. How crazy is that? So it's just tying up little things like that with clients, and then also as well, whether clients might have a considerable amount of money sitting in the bank, what are some strategies and things that we can put in place to try and get the most out of that money? Just a wide range of things I can go on all day around this.
Today's episode of the Wealth Guide podcast is proudly sponsored by Ryker Capital. In a world full of financial uncertainties, Ryker Capital understand the importance of safeguarding your lifestyle and the well-being of your loved ones. That's why we're committed to providing you with personally tailored insurance plans and financial advice that aligns with your unique needs and goals. Ryker Capital is your guide in the complex world of superannuation and retirement planning. Our team of experts are dedicated to helping you navigate these complexities with ease and confidence. We're here to empower you with the knowledge and strategies you need to build wealth and secure your future. At Ryker Capital, we offer a comprehensive range of services designed to optimize your superannuation. We work closely with you to determine the best contribution strategy, regularly review your superannuation fund, set achievable financial goals. Our coaching and consulting services ensure your financial plan stays on track, with regular reviews to adjust to your changing circumstances and aspirations. Don't leave your financial future to chance. Take control today with Ryker Capital. Contact us for an obligation-free discussion about your financial plan by calling us on 1300 179 537. Let us help you secure your finances because you deserve it. Ryker Capital, your trusted partner in financial success. At the end of the day, I think it's all about highlighting those gaps, like you said. Like that's a big gap, and a lot of people don't think about super, especially when you're like young. You think you're invincible. You want to spend your money elsewhere on the clubs or going out or whatever, but you don't highlight those gaps to say, look, you could be, to use your example, between 70 and 700,000 better off just by doing this simple little tweak, and that can mean the difference between a good or a great retirement sort of thing. So highlighting those gaps, if anything, and as a financial planner, you have the volume of experience as well. So you can sort of make people aware of those gaps, like and incorporate those sort of things into their budgeting cash flow, like changing your white goods every 5 to 10 years, or, buying a new car every 10 to 15 or something along those lines. But it's really about highlighting those gaps with that volume of experience.
Look, I think as well, one of the biggest thing that I've come to see, because I work a lot at the moment now as well. Look, I work with a wide range of different clients, but recently I've been doing a lot of work with the younger generation, people that are just first-time buyers, basically, and then just helping them with paying down debt. And a lot of the time people think to themselves, okay, well, look, I've got this massive mortgage here, right? It's going to take me 30 years to pay it down, right? So a lot of people sometimes, whether they might feel disheartened, and look, they're still happy and great that they've bought a property, but they don't want to be sitting down paying this for the next 30 years. So I've helped clients with a little bit of strategies of even structuring something like an offset account and putting a nominal amount. It could shave years off your mortgage. Years.
Or changing your repayment frequency, or anything along those lines.
And that talks, and once again, it is a little change, and it talks volume.
Yeah.
So
Is that the demographic that you're probably most passionate about at the moment, is the first-home buyers? Because particularly this day and age, I think first-home buyers have it tough in an environment where house prices are still rising, interest rates are a lot higher than they have been previously, and cost of living is a lot more expensive. We're in a high inflation period. Is that the demographic that you're, somewhat concentrating on at the moment?
yeah, I'm doing a lot of work with those type of clients at the moment now. Yeah, and this with the volume and the type of stuff that I've been able to do with those type of clients, it's just been amazing. So
Yeah, no, that's good. And I think as well, everybody has that emotional aspect of owning their own home, like the great Australian dream, owning my own home. And people, if anything, they have found it more difficult to get that into that first step of their first home. Look, Sydney is a rough example. I think the average price to income at the moment for a property in Sydney is 13 to 1. So 13 times the average wage is roughly your average property price. So it's more and more difficult now more than ever. So I really think having a financial planner in your corner to not only get you into your first property, but help you paying down your debt is a good first step as well. So look, with those clients as well, how do you sort of help them reach their goals? So you have the discovery session, they articulate their goals. What's the sort of methodology that you put in place to sort of put together or formulate a strategy to then help them reach their goals?
So it's pretty simple. So basically getting a brief understanding of what their current world looks like and how things are tracking at the moment now. And then I'll go out and I'll start looking, okay, well, this is what the cash flow looks like. So after doing some cash flow analysis, understanding, okay, well, what are our potential risk exposures? And looking at things like, okay, well, if something did happen to us, God forbid, we've worked so hard to get to where we are. We need to make sure that we protect that, right? And then also as well, just looking around the debt side of things as well. So making sure that, okay, so should we, based on our pay frequencies, can we look at potentially structuring the mortgage as a fortnightly payment or a weekly payment? And then also as well, if we're saving $1,000, $2,000 a month, what is the best bang for buck and what are we going to be able to achieve the most from a long-term perspective with that type of money? So so whether that's paying down debt, reducing and doing some tax strategies for them to reduce what they pay from a tax perspective, you name it, we do it. So.
And even before the strategy formulation, I imagine, you've articulated the goals, you've analyzed what their, state of affairs are. There has to be sort of a conversation around, well, how do I go about prioritizing these goals? Because I might be able to get to goals 1, 2, and 3, but if I do that, I'm sacrificing 4 and 5. Like, how do you sort of go about having that conversation with the clients as well?
There's a few things, but look, the idea is we're trying to understand with the client, what is their priority? Now, once we've understood what the priority is, look, I'm a big believer, and I like to use a bucket analogy. So the bucket analogy that I like to use, and I always have this conversation with my clients, was that, look, if we had 3 or 4 buckets of water and we grabbed all the water and we poured it into the one bucket, what will actually happen? I'll ask you the question, Gianni. What will happen?
It depends. It would overflow, or we wouldn't fill it up, or it depends how much water you've got.
So it'll basically overflow. Now, the reason why I use that analogy is to say, okay, well, look, we've got so much things in life, right? Whether, okay, we're wanting to make sure that we pay down our mortgage. We want to make sure that we support our kids. Right? That could be another bucket. We want to have a nice lifestyle. That could be another bucket. Now, if we just put all our energy into the one bucket, we neglecting everything else, then yes, we may achieve a particular goal very well, but then it's going to put us behind with everything else, right? So the idea is spreading everything in a way so everything rises up together and you're achieving everything that you've wanted to achieve. So
I guess it's all about allocating your resources effectively, and especially as an advisor, you'd be able to educate your client on how they allocate those resources. Look, we've talked about a lot of the fun stuff about achieving goals and your financial independence, paying off your home, but there's almost a downside to financial planning and having that serious conversation around what's going to happen to you if the unfortunate occurs. How do you go about articulating that conversation?
I've said it previously, and I'll say it again as well, in the sense that, look, my role has a lot of rewards where I've been able to help a lot of people. But one of the challenging parts as well is I've actually seen it so many times when it's gone wrong. Where, for example, like, I can even tell you a case that I'm dealing with at the moment now, where a client purchased a property, it was a $2 million property. And unfortunately, he then was diagnosed with cancer. So he hasn't been able to work. And he's around about two and a bit months behind on the mortgage. And the way things are tracking at the moment now, he may potentially risk losing the property, sell the dream home. So I'm trying to just develop some strategies for him in place to see, okay, well, what can we do to try and maintain the property and just at least till he recovers and becomes a little bit better, he can start working again. And then I've got other clients where they're quite ill as well, and just helping them, like just a lot of the time, look, not saying that they're always going to pay, but in that sense, okay, well, I've got a client at the moment now, she is also quite sick and she's not working or anything like that, but I'm just going in there and trying to help her. Okay, well, look, because we're not really earning an income anymore, what can we do to receive an income? And then also as well, trying to see if I can help her get a bit of a claim on her insurance policies with Insider Super. That's been a challenge, right? But at the same time as well, I'll do anything I can to help. So just trying to, because once again, it gives the client peace of mind. It makes a bit of a difference, and it just helps them. So.
There's a few things I wanted to touch on from that as well. That, especially when you're going through injury or illness and you're unable to work, the last thing you want to worry about is your finances. Really, you just want to concentrate on recovery. And I think as a financial planner, or having a financial planner rather, it's rewarding or reassuring to know that somebody's in your corner fighting for you, fighting against, whoever, to ensure that you do get that payout or that your finances are taken care of in that time of need as well. And then going back to that volume of experience that you've got, like you've been through these situations and scenarios previously, you can tell people how to deal with these certain scenarios as well. So no, that's awesome. Really appreciate your insight, mate. If there is any questions that the audience wants to ask, how is the best way to sort of get in touch with you?
Yeah, sure. You can contact me on we've got social media. So you can contact us on LinkedIn. More than happy to chat. And also you can contact me on the mobile as well, 0487 131 344. And I'm more than happy to help out, guys.
Awesome. Thanks, Dean. Really appreciate your time.
No worries. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
If you enjoy the content we bring you on the Wealth Guide podcast, we'd love for you to subscribe and share with your community. Let's grow this community together and make financial literacy accessible to all.